Beneficiary. The term frequently used synonymous with the technical phrase assesticate trust. A beneficiary, a person. A settler. This is black 7th. Settler is a person, a founder is a person, a grantor is a person. Beneficiary is a person, blacks 8. Actually, there's 3 definitions of beneficiary there, and they're all persons. A settler, blacks 8, is a person. A founder is a person. Creator, see settler. That's all blacks 8. Equity. This is Bouvier's 1856. In early history of the law, the sense affixed to this word was exceedingly vague and uncertain, as owing in part to the fact that the chancellors of those days were either statesmen or ecclesiastics, perhaps not very scrupulous in the exercise of power. It was then asserted that equity is bounded by no certain limits or rules, and that it was alone controlled by conscience and natural justice. Okay, that's also Blackstone's commentaries. That's that BL Book 3, Blackstone's commentaries, and Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856 edition. Now, a court of equity is one which administers justice where there are no legal rights but courts of law do not afford a complete remedy. Okay, and that's, see again, the courts of law is common law. Okay, is what we're talking about. And courts of law do not afford a complete remedy where a complainant has also an equitable right, like the bankster thieves, okay? The bankster thieves have an equitable interest in your property, and so if you go into there, you're basically, and they start arguing equity, then equity is what they're going to get. And you need to get it out of that court of equity, because in the court of equity, you don't have any justice in there. There's no common law. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Equity is the system of law or body of principles originating in English court of chancery, superseding the common and statute law, together called law in the narrow sense. When the two conflict, in appealing to the equity of the court, she was appealing to the king's conscience. Okay, you're asking them to do the right thing. And they do have some power to do that, and it's okay. It's not really superseding common law. It's supposed to go along with the common law unless they're in bankruptcy. Everything they do is under probate law. It's for dead things. A person is a dead thing. Are you a dead thing? And this is actually after the War of Independence, 1778. Whereas taxation by the Parliament for the purpose of raising revenue has been found to by experience to occasion great uneasiness and disorders, I'll say, caused the War of Independence, that from and after the passing of this act, the King and Parliament of Great Britain will not pose any duty, tax, or assessment, whatever, payable on any of His Majesty's colonies, provinces, or plantations in North America, except such as may be expedient to impose for the regulation of commerce. Okay, so 1776, we told the King to take a hike, and in 1778, he passed this act that says that we're not going to impose taxes except in commerce. Okay? So, anyways. It was in commerce before, but they made it official, I guess. Okay, and this is another act in 1803, and this actually has more to do in Canada. Offenses that committed within any of the Indian territories shall be tried in the same manner as if committed in the province of Upper Lower Canada, place and manner of such trial as offenders not being subject to His Majesty, and also within the limits shall be acquitted. In other words, if you're within those limits and you're not subject to the mechanic, like your First Nations, okay, then they have to acquit it. You see what I'm saying? Or if you're not a subject, like if you're one of the people, you see what I'm saying? They're supposed to acquit it because, again, they don't have any authority. Every nation on the planet is under martial law. Every nation on the planet is bankrupt. And then it says in Revelation 17, 1-2, I'll show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Gee, that sounds like martial law. And the Vatican, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. Well, think about it. Fornication is an illicit activity. You know, like they're perjuring their oath of office is about as illicit as you can get. And all the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And so they're getting drunk with all the commercial paper that's floating around. That's exactly what's going on. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Well, okay, that sounds like the 7 hills of Rome, is what that sounds like. And this has been going on from the beginning of time. This is as old as time itself. They create 2 classes of citizens, and then they proceed to violate everybody's rights with that. But the stranger that dwelleth among you shall be one as born among you, for thou shalt love him as thyself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. That's how they enslaved the children of Israel. They went and created the two classes of citizens, and then they enslaved everybody. Ye shall have one ordinance both for the stranger and for him that was born in the land. Two classes of citizens. Those born in the land and those that are strangers. Okay? And now think about it. A stranger is a person, right? A stranger is a person. Love ye therefore the strangers, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. This has been going on from the beginning of time. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother. Unto the stranger thou must lend upon usury. Okay, so if you have a Social Security number, you can borrow money, and if you don't, you can't. Okay, so obviously the stranger is someone that's a person that has a Social Security number or a U.S. citizen. You see what I'm saying? And if you're not, then you don't get to borrow money. You don't get to do anything. And that's exactly, this is not anything new. This has been going on forever. All of this martial law stuff is for Ford and GM. If you're a Ford or GM employee, then you're a slave for Ford or GM. If you want to be free, then we the people have to quit letting Ford and GM run the country. Do you want to be free or a slave? Is there a price for your freedom that makes your freedom too expensive? Do you know who you are? The current government is de facto. It's essentially a gang of pirates who are engaged in taming some prize on the high seas of commerce. The only thing saving us is the fact that they have an oath of office. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's what de jure government is. De jure government is a government that is owned and operated by the people. I've seen U.S. Supreme Court cases that said that the reason the government had immunity from suit is because it was de jure government, and for one of the people to file suit is like suing yourself. It's impossible. They will continue to violate your rights more and more every day until we, the people, decide to take our government back. They have taken away the grand jury. Well, the grand juries, in Canada, they've taken away the grand jury. Here, the grand juries are highly regulated, and so it's all just a charade. Huh?
A tool of the prosecution nowadays.
Yeah. They've taken away the common law jury, and there's certainly there's some of them in criminal matters. Sometimes they're close to common law, but the judges give them instructions, and if the common law jury tries to do a jury annulment, they go and put them in jail. So I don't know if that's common law. They've taken away the 12-man jury. The jury you see these days are a complete farce. Common law has all the solutions we need. Common law is we the people. Common law is God's law as found in the Bible. Common law is 800 years of jury trial decisions in Old England. Sections 52 and 61 of the Magna Carta provide for a grand jury. Grand jury operates in the county. You need a de jure county judge to swear in the grand jurors. You hold an election for the county judge. In Toronto, what they have is they go and overlay things with these regional municipalities and stuff like that, and that's all just a bunch of garbage. And you need to know that the county is still here. They don't do that here, fortunately, so it's kind of a moot point here. Grand juries bring an indictment based on majority vote. Grand jury indictment is saying there's probable cause. A grand jury indictment proceeds to a common law jury for trial. When I was living in Uxbridge, Ontario, there was a traffic court with a coat of arms in Pickering, and across the street there was an unused courtrooms with flags in it. Okay, and this is what was going on in Canada, and I would wonder. They even talk about it here in Texas too, but in Canada what they